Ladies and gentlemen, we got Drip in the house. And on today's episode, we got to talk about it. With the recent moves within the Eastern Conference, are the Bulls now facing some pressure? What's the mindset should be heading into free agency? And what if the Bulls do nothing? Y'all know we're going to talk about it, break it down. But you got to hear the music first.
Cognac, gang.
Shy Boys Podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby. We got Hayes in the house, and I am with my dog, CDubb. How y'all doing, fellas?
Oh, bro, you see drip down there. Y'all act like y'all see drip down there.
For sure. If y'all tuning in with us today, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. My guy Hayes, what's going on?
What's good, fam? Glad to be in the building.
Appreciate you for sliding through. But hey, let's get right into it. With the recent moves within the Eastern Conference, we seen the Pacers make some moves. We seen the Milwaukee Bucks just have a coaching change. We seen the Miami Heat go get Scary Terry. And it's a lot of things going on. Last few seasons haven't seen much from the Chicago Bulls except in the buyout market.
Yes.
Hayes, we coming to you first, my guy. With the recent moves in the Eastern Conference, are the Bulls facing some pressure to get something done?
Yes and no. I think they're absolutely facing pressure from the fan base, but the teams that have all made moves are teams that are already well above the Bulls and not even close to where the Bulls wish to be there. So, but I do think from the standpoint that what the front office has communicated to us, right? They keep saying that we're a team that's trying to compete. We want to be better. We want to do these things. And you keep seeing all these teams make moves, and the Bulls just stay stagnant. That you're putting pressure on yourself. Had you just said, hey, we're going to see where things go, or shut the hell up, that you may not be under enough pressure, except for fans that watch all this other stuff. But listen, you had a team that just fired a coach with the second best record in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
We've been bottom 8 to 10 for the last few years, and Billy Donovan got a secret extension. Those type of things put pressure on your front office because of the decisions that you make, period.
Facts, C-Dub.
Hey, look, man. I agree with my man Drip said. I am not gonna work myself up over this team. We know how stubborn this front office is. Don't expect anything. Like my man Drip said, those teams that make these recent moves are gunning for a championship. They are trying to win a pennant. They trying to hang a banner up in the stadium. The Bulls, they just trying to get to the playoffs and probably win a first round. And what if they showed us the last couple of years? Do you expect anything? I think the most major move they did was to get Vooch when they first got Vooch. That's the most major move. And then you got DeMar and you got Lonzo in there as well. But just expect what you've been getting for the last 2 years. Nothing. You might get a little add in or something like that, a Tristan Thompson type and something like that. But don't expect it. Don't get worked up.
Yeah, I'm with both of y'all. I think that, like, you think about it, there could be some pressure, but at the same time, you got to look at the front office for what they believe in. They still believe that this team can compete, and for the most part, they have been competing, but they just not at the level of some of those top teams. So you gotta, at least just take it for what it really is. And I understand to this extent on why the moves have not been coming is because the Bulls have been so bad. Is that to me, in my mind, on the outside looking in, some teams probably feel like they could take advantage of the Bulls. Look at what the Miami Heat just did to the Charlotte Hornets for Scary Terry. Kyle Lowry in the first round pick. Look, me personally, I don't know if that's a good deal. Well, I don't think it's a good deal, but in the minds of the Charlotte Hornets to get a first round pick and a guy like Kyle Lowry who might get bought out, that's feasible for them. But for the Bulls, they might be getting lowballed. Y'all think the Bulls might be getting lowballed a little bit, Hayes?
I think there's a degree to that. I think the teams are definitely once a player's request to be out of there is known. It's funny how all the other little intricacies start being highlighted. When the New York Knicks offered R.J. Barrett, Isaiah Hartenstein, and 3 first-round picks last year, we all knew that Zach LaVine didn't play defense. We all knew Zach LaVine had a bad contract. We all knew Zach LaVine had injury history. But the perception changes once that request is put out there, and teams are waiting to see, hey, can we get him a little bit lower? Are they going to have so much pressure? And then on top of that, him coming out. So I do think that there is some lowballing being done out there. But I think as the other trade targets go to other teams, those teams are going to come back. If they really want Zach LaVine, those teams are going to come back in on the Zach LaVine trade market.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
and I agree with Drip. That's exactly my mindset. They may lowball us now. Why not? They're businessmen. They trying to get the best for their buck. But eventually, they're gonna have to come around because we're not gonna give away Zach for basically peanuts. So you eventually gonna have to pay up. And I hope that the front office is smart enough to not just give them away.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of find it strange a little bit is because the Bulls, I'm pretty sure they have been receiving calls regarding Alex Caruso. I know we mostly talk about Zach LaVine, but the Bulls have been like, no, we want 2 first-round picks for Alex Caruso. So they kind of, put their criteria out there for a guy like Alex Caruso, which is probably the most valuable player on the Chicago Bulls if you're looking at player, not the best player, but the most valuable because he can pretty much fit in just on any team.
Mm-hmm.
Think about
Hmm.
things like that. You just gotta say that this is my price. If you ain't ready to meet it, cool. And me personally, I want moves to be done, but I don't want moves to be done for a bunch of guys that you just gonna be letting walk out the door anyway. Just like why I gotta respect why the Bulls front office pretty much came out and said that they won't win now players. That's still to be determined on what players that they feel are win now players, but you still gotta roll with it and just accept it for what it really is at this point.
And, and you have to add this caveat. You have to be very careful with the players that you bring into this organization because I think we got budding young stars that I think that need to breathe. And you don't want to interrupt the development in this game and shit. So they got to be very careful with the deals that they make as well.
For sure. Hayes, do you feel like if a move is to come, that the Bulls should really be, trying to stay away from per se, including an Ayo Dosunmu or Patrick Williams or something like that? Because I believe Kobe White is here to stay. But some teams could be looking at those 2 young players and saying, hey, if you want us to take Zach LaVine, you got to give us one of these guys with him. Or even if it's another player like DeMar name has been mentioned around Bulls content creators as well.
I do think there's a possibility that teams could try to get that, but I don't think there's any way the Bulls should bite at that. At this point, especially if you're trading Zach, you keep your young pieces, you keep the pieces that are developing on your team, in my opinion. And so, if they want Javon Carter, you can have him.
Hey, no, you can have him for a
Like,
Twinkie.
I would even say, and not that I don't like him. If you want Torrey Craig, we can negotiate that. You're gonna have to come off
I'm
one
good
of
with
those
that.
picks.
I'm good with that.
But
Yeah.
the young players on this team, because what we've done so far is that we've hurt their development to a degree. And I get it. You want veterans on this team. Zach, DeMar, Vooch, they were here for a reason. Add in Lonzo. But at this point now, it's clear. Let's double down. If we are going to change the makeup of this team, you don't want to give up because we don't want somebody to go away and become the next Bobby Portis. We don't want
Oh,
somebody to go away and become the next Larry Markin, even though he wanted to get out of here. But I'm just saying that you want to hold it in their own reasonable deals. So there's no reason it'd be different if Io was on a $10 million deal and we're like, hey, even if he
yeah.
does develop, he's going to be worth that. So that's different. But all everybody's on reasonable deals. There's no point in getting rid of them right
I'm with you
Ain't
on
no
that.
point. They can look all they want, nephew. Look all they want.
For
They
sure.
will.
So my question next is what should be the Bulls mindset moving into free agency? I think that the way that you look at a lot of these things is that you probably, like we already talked about it, that these guys could possibly be fleeced out of this. You know what I'm saying? Or a team would try to go ahead and lowball them in a way. But the mindset headed into free agency is, hey, make us an offer. Make us your best offer for whoever you want. These players will be untouchable, and you list out who your players will be untouchable, if any. But you got to make me an offer, and that offer has to include some type of draft pick. CDubb, what do you think the Bulls' mindset should be headed? Why did I say free agency? The trade deadline, excuse me. Heading
Uh,
into the trade deadline. My bad.
well, Well, they said their number one priority was trading Zach Levine, getting a trade for Zach Levine like a month ago or something like that. Um, I think their mindset should be just keeping it together and wait till the end of the year gets away or trade DeMar DeRozan. That's from my mind. That's what I want. But it's probably going to stay the same. You're going to see the same team all the way. I don't think they want to make a trade. Honestly, they don't want to
So,
make a trade.
so your mindset is pretty much
Stay,
for the
because
Bulls
that's
is
what it's
to
been for the
stand pat.
last couple of years. Stand packed. That's what it's going to be.
Age, you
Continuity.
got a different opinion about that with the
I
Bulls
think that their
mindset headed
mindset is
into the
to
trade deadline?
I think their mindset is to try to find when you hear things like they're open to moving Lonzo Ball's contract, that tells me they're searching for a deal. It's just that the value that they usually hold their own players at usually doesn't match the value on the market, and then they end up not making a trade. So I think they're looking for something, and that's the place that the Bulls mindset needs to be to me is whatever you're telling us, make a move to support that mindset. If you say that you're trying to compete, because right now we're a ninth seed, you're fighting for a ninth seed. Clearly, we need a little bit more. Do that. If it's you're gonna go younger and let the young players figure it out. If you win over that, you win. If you lose, you lose. Cool. Make a move to support that. Do that. But I think right now, I think the Bulls' mindset is, from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, it tells me that they're looking for a deal, and that deal may pick the direction that they end up going with the rest of the stuff. Because if they move, let's say they do move Zoe's contract, they get an expiring player to add to the bench that's going to add some depth, and then they're looking at it and saying, yeah, we're the ninth seed now, but we think we can push up to 7 or 6. Cool, do that. But you got to make a move. You got to make a move. Well, I don't say they have to make a move, because there is a world in which they stand pat. But it seems like their mindset is, we're searching for a deal that's gonna get us where we're trying to go. Let's see if they do it.
Do you think this front office in a quandary, like, oh my God, we so loyal to this core three that we got, and these young players have bloomed this last like month and a half. Do you think they like, man, in this quandary, like, oh, which way should we go? Is it like that in a pickle?
I don't think it's that. I think they're fine with the young players developing. Like, we saw, like, they've been waiting on one of these young players to step up. They talked about it in media day last year. Like, they
Right.
understood that for this team to really go to a different direction, it's going to have to take one of the young players to step up. The problem has been, every time that you make a step forward, you get hit in the face with something. Think about it. This team was the number one team in the East. They wouldn't have stayed that, but then Lonzo and Zach LaVine get hurt. Lonzo ends up having an injury that keeps him out 2.5 years. Last season, you come into last season, Zach LaVine starts playing better over the second half of the season. I would assume it is a dud starting as your starting point guard. You thought they already said they were waiting. They really did think Lonzo Ball was going to come back. They got hit again. Lonzo ain't coming back. This season, we're looking at one of some of our young players to develop. You get that. Kobe White's developing. And you start off the season with all of your core three shooting the worst percentages of their career. Then on top of that, Zach LaVine asked for a trade. So I
Mm.
think that it's the combination of, they're waiting for something to happen. That thing happens to a degree, but then there's something else that happens that they didn't foresee that makes them take another step back.
Yeah, it's just bad luck. It is like bad luck type shit.
That'll be tough. I mean, Hayes, right now, I know that over here we talked about, the rumors when it comes to maybe getting a D'Angelo Russell or looking at a Rui Hachimura, and then we heard things coming that the Kings might be interested. It's been a lot of things coming out. What would be
Mhm.
your ideal player, if any, if the Bulls was to say, "Hey, we making a trade"? What name have you been looking at to be like, "Hey, I want this guy. I will want this guy in a Chicago Bulls uniform, if
I
any."
mean, see, that's the thing. It's like, to me, with what I'm hearing, like, you guys know, I'm such a literal person. Like, there are players that I
Mhm.
absolutely would love to see in the Chicago Bulls uniform. Don't get me wrong, but I think at
Mhm.
this point, like, it's unrealistic with what we're hearing Zach Levine's value is, or even DeMar's value, to get those pieces. So it's more so for me, get the best deal possible. Whether it's you're adding depth, whether you're getting a kind of unproven player, like, so that's kind of the more thing to me. I'm not focused. Like, I know I've heard the things of Kevin Huerter and the Harrison Barnes deal and things like that, and the Mitchell, or the guy from the Kings, and I like that deal theoretically. I don't think any of those one pieces individually are like pieces I'm crazy about, but if that's
Mhm.
the best you can get for Zach Levine, it's not terrible if they add in the first round pick unprotected. So I don't know. Just for me, it's not like I'm necessarily looking at specific players. It's more so, just get the best that you can back, and if you can't, listen, we got Zach LaVine under contract for another 3 years. We're not in a place where we have to move him per se.
And that's what I
That's
was
yeah.
finna say. That's what I was finna say. Like, you don't have to trade him. You paid the man $215 million over the next what 3 more years on the contract, 4 more years on the contract. I think he moved too fast asking for the trade, honestly. And he seen the way his team has played without him, and he know that he can win with this team. I think the front office sees this as well. That's why he hasn't been traded yet. That's the way I'm
Mhm.
going. I'm just gonna throw that out there, and I think that they're gonna stay together for the whole rest of the season. If it don't work out, if they it all fall in the face, then you may see them just implode the team, just destroy it.
Now,
That's
is
what I
there a
think.
world to where we see DeMar DeRozan be traded as a shocker? Because me, Hayes, I said it on one of the daily episodes, I believe last week. I said I believe there's a world to where the Bulls front office respect DeMar DeRozan so much. If they feel like a deal can't be made to get him an extension, they will be willing to let him walk away as a thank you for your service. Thank you for being a great mentor, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think there's a world to where we see DeMar DeRozan just play out the rest of the season and get that handshake and have a nice day? Or do you think there's a world to where you might see as a shocking trade come?
I don't think it would be a shock if they trade him if they can't reach him. They haven't talked extension since November, but
Right.
I'm gonna throw a curveball and throw this back to you. And this is something that not a lot of people have talked about. There's a world in which they allowed DeMar DeRozan to get to free agency and they still trade him because don't forget we got him from a sign and trade.
Mm.
And most teams that are interested in DeMar DeRozan are going to be championship level teams, which probably means they're over the luxury tax, which means that to facilitate a deal for DeMar DeRozan, they're probably going to have to do a sign and trade. So the Bulls can very well calculate this out and say, listen, we're going to try to negotiate with them up until the last minute. If it doesn't, there's a possibility we can still get a sign and trade back. Now, you're probably not going to get the first round pick that we gave up for him, but you could still potentially get a sign and trade for DeMar DeRozan in the offseason for a team that's trying to sign him. And a team, keep in mind, too, even though teams are going to have their mid-level exception, if a team wants to preserve their mid-level exception to get other things, they could do a sign and trade for DeMar, then use their mid-level to go out somewhere else.
Oh,
Yeah. I
great.
just don't agree with letting them walk. That's not a great business move for the Chicago Bulls. They're not in a position to just let assets just walk away and you get nothing back from it. So I think that's a bad business move to just let him ride off into the sunset when his contract is over. It's bad.
True,
I
but
don't like it.
you gotta have a partner though, Dub. And like at this
You can
point,
find a partner.
I
Find a
mean,
partner.
that's not easy though, Dub. Like again, it's the value because if a team's saying, yeah, bet we'll give you 2 second round picks and salary cap filler for DeMar DeRozan, and let's say that deal goes past next offseason, you've lost it. Yeah, you got 2 second round picks, cool, but like at that point, you're not getting that cap flexibility you could get because they've had to match DeMar DeRozan's contract. So I get what you're saying in that, but you got to also, it depends on what they're offering because if a team's lowballing you on Zach, they're probably lowballing you on DeMar as he's a free agent next year, and it may not be worth that move at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was gonna say, and that's my whole premise about the whole thing. Like, I don't know if a lot of people view not Zach, DeMar DeRozan in a high regard. And like Hayes, like you pointed out, that was my whole train of thought too, because you got to make contracts match in the NBA. And I know, like, what if a team like the New York Knicks say, yeah, he go Evan Fournier and who's the other guy that they was trying to get rid of? I forgot. But here's Evan Fournier, and I don't know if he's still on the team, but it's Quentin Grimes or something like that. You'd be like, for DeMar? Yeah, but so it's something that you will push away from. CDubb, what you was gonna say?
I'm just saying you can get anything, get some picks. I don't care what it is. You're right, Hayes, about that, the sign and trade deal and all of that. But you just don't let them walk into the sunset. Do something, Joe, because it's not working with this team. Make sure your team is good in the upcoming seasons that's coming up, man.
For sure. Not mad at that. So is it safe to say from both of y'all that y'all wouldn't be too upset if the Bulls do nothing at the trade
It's not that I
deadline?
won't be upset. It's just that I won't be shocked. There's no
I won't
point
be
in being
surprised.
upset over something that they've already showed us twice before there's a possibility of it. It'd be different if it was like, this is a team that's been active. They've been doing willing and dealing. And then when we finally need them to make a move, they don't do nothing. They done nothing for 3 years.
For 3 years. Did I agree with Drip.
They
Don't
had
get
got y'all-
yourself worked up.
They got y'all as Tristan Thompson and Pat Bev in the buyout market.
Don't do Pat Bev, though. Don't do Pat Bev.
No, Pat Bev was great. Tristan
Pat
Thompson,
Bev
his
was
first game was yelling at Ayo, and Ayo was like, "Who the fuck is dude?"
Dude, bro.
Right,
That's exactly how I was looking at him. Like, he was looking at him like, you serious right now? And then now it turns out you've been doing performance enhancing drugs just to score 3 points a game. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Ain't it crazy?
Hey, that drug ain't working, bro. You only scoring 3 points a game.
Bro. Or you got to ask yourself, how much do you suck that you are out here using performance enhancers and you still only getting 3 points a game? That's crazy. That's crazy.
Could it probably took the skill away? Shit, who knows?
No, you can't take something away that's not there, brother.
That's all facts. I'm telling you. That's all facts. Well, hey, appreciate you for sliding through, Hayes. You got anything left for us?
Yeah, hey, pray for us. That's it, man. That's it. Pray for us, man. We cover this team every single day, man. Pray for us. That's it.
CDubb, you got anything left?
Hey, man, shout out to my man Drip. Just note that we just topped 12,000 on Chicago Bears Central. That's my man Drip. You gonna see us on TikTok. We about to hit 1,000. Y'all look out, boy. Chicago, Chi-Town Sports Central on the rise.
Yes, sir. Big shout out to Hayes. Thanks for tuning in and joining us. Y'all already know you can catch him on Chicago Bulls Central. I'm pretty sure you already know, but he slid through over here on Shy Bulls podcast to support the brothers. Y'all already know. So if you tuned in today, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you want to call in and leave your take, that number is 773-242-9219. It's another episode of Shy Bulls podcast. We had Hayes on, and it's me and CDubb, of course. We gonna catch y'all on the next one for sure. Cognac.